On today's episode, we're testing the most boring West German car people regret buying. The Volkswagen Jetta promised German engineering in a practical saloon package. What buyers discovered was a Golf with a boot grafted on, and a price tag that made them question every decision. Why did thousands regret this purchase? The answer is coming up.
私たち日本人はヨーロッパ車を研究することで多くのことを学びました。中でもフォルクスワーゲンポロには特に感銘を受けました。非常にしっかりとした作りで信頼性も抜群です。また、フォルクスワーゲンがジェッタを頑丈なだけでなく、大きな過失も備えていることにも感銘を受けました。そう、私たち日本人は製造する車に非常にこだわりを持つだけでなく、購入する車にもさらにこだわりを持つようになったのです。フォルクスワーゲンゴルフは今でも日本の輸入車の中でナンバーワンです。
Behold, the Volkswagen Jetta, the automotive equivalent of mayonnaise. Not fancy artisanal mayonnaise, just plain beige supermarket mayonnaise. Built in Wolfsburg, the Jetta arrived at the 1979 Frankfurt Motor Show with a pitch so uninspired it could cure insomnia. It's a Golf, but with a boot. That's it. That's the entire concept. Volkswagen looked at the spectacularly successful Golf, Giorgetto Giugiaro's masterpiece of angular design, and thought, you know what this needs? Absolutely nothing interesting whatsoever. So they grafted a boot onto the back, gave it a traditional three-box shape to appeal to conservative buyers, and called it a day. The Jetta wasn't designed to excite. It was designed purely to exist. And boy, did it ever exist, with all the charisma of a filing cabinet. But first, let's understand what Volkswagen was actually selling here. The Golf had been a smash hit since 1974. Sharp, practical, fun to drive, everything a modern hatchback should be. But Volkswagen noticed something in North America. Some buyers found the hatchback too modern. These people wanted a proper boot, a traditional saloon, something that looked reassuringly conventional and safe. So, in August 1979, production began on the Jetta, the Golf's boring cousin who wears sensible shoes and talks about tax returns. The car was available as both a two-door and four-door saloon. Both shared the Golf's 2,400mm wheelbase and McPherson strut front suspension, with a twist beam rear. Both used the same engines, initially a 1.6-litre four-cylinder, producing 76 horsepower in most markets, though Americans got a slightly larger 1.7-litre lump for the 1980 model year. Both were front-wheel drive. Both were built with typical German solidity. The only meaningful difference? The Jetta was 380mm longer to accommodate that boot, which held 377 litres of luggage you probably didn't need to carry. And here's where the regret begins. Because whilst the Golf cost less and offered the same mechanicals, the Jetta commanded a premium. You paid more for a car that was fundamentally identical, but less practical. The Golf's hatchback meant you could fold the seats and haul furniture, bicycles, or bodies, whatever your weekend required. The Jetta's saloon configuration meant you got a fixed boot opening and the privilege of explaining to your mates why you'd paid extra for less versatility. Brilliant. Inside, Volkswagen tried to justify the price premium with upscale touches, velour seating, colour-coordinated carpeting, slightly nicer door cards. It was like putting a bow tie on a horse and calling it sophisticated. The dashboard was identical to the Golf's. The switchgear was identical. The driving position was identical. Everything that mattered was exactly the same, except you'd paid more for the aesthetic pleasure of looking more conservative. The performance was adequate. The 1.6-litre engine produced 76 horsepower, which propelled the 870 kilogram to 60 miles per hour in 14 seconds. Top speed hovered around 100 miles per hour. A 4-speed manual was standard, with a 5-speed optional. There was also a 3-speed automatic for people who'd given up on life. It wasn't slow by 1979 standards, but it wasn't exciting either. Nothing about the Jetta was exciting. And that's precisely the problem. Volkswagen had spent the 1970s building reputation on fun, characterful cars. The Beetle was quirky and lovable. The Golf was sharp and modern. The Scirocco was stylish and sporty. And then came the Jetta, a car so aggressively bland that it made accountancy look thrilling by comparison. The styling was conservative, which is automotive journalism code for we can't think of a single interesting thing to say about how this looks. It had rectangular headlamps, a grille, some chrome, 4 doors or 2. It looked like every other compact saloon from the era, except somehow less interesting, because you knew it was deliberately designed to be forgettable. Motor Trend tested one and noted the suspension was softer than the Golf's. Not more compliant or better suited to long-distance comfort, just softer, which meant it wasn't as fun to drive. The Golf rewarded spirited driving with sharp handling and eager responses. The Jetta responded with understeer and apology. It was engineered for people who viewed driving as a necessary evil between mortgage payments, not something to actually enjoy. But surely, you're thinking, it must have had some appeal. Well, yes. If you were the sort of person who wore beige trousers, collected stamps, and considered mayonnaise a bit spicy, the Jetta was your absolute dream car. It was sensible, practical, well-built, reliable. It did everything a car needed to do without ever threatening to make you feel anything approaching joy. For some buyers, that was perfect. They didn't want excitement. They wanted transport that wouldn't embarrass them at the country club or require them to think about gear ratios.
Do you really have the world's greatest collection of Volkswagens?
Of course. Right here.
That's one Jetta. Where's the collection?
Jetta is a collection. It handles like a Scirocco.
Uh-huh.
It's roomy like a Dasher.
Yeah?
It gets terrific mileage like a Rabbit. And of course, it has fuel injection and front-wheel drive. Jetta even has a huge trunk.
I'm surprised no one came out with a car like Jetta before Volkswagen.
Really? I'm not.
All our best ideas in one car. Jetta.
And to Volkswagen's credit, the Jetta sold spectacularly well, especially in North America, where it became the best-selling European car. Americans loved it precisely because it was boring. It offered German build quality and engineering without any of that pesky European character. It was the automotive equivalent of a tepid cup of tea, completely inoffensive and utterly forgettable. In Europe, sales were slower. European buyers looked at the Jetta and thought, Why would I pay more for a Golf with less practicality? Which is a perfectly reasonable question that Volkswagen never adequately answered. The hatchback made infinitely more sense for daily driving use. But VW pressed on regardless, convinced that conservative saloon buyers represented an untapped market. They were right, technically. Unfortunately, conservative saloon buyers turned out to be people who regretted their purchases the moment they realized they'd paid a premium for nothing. And then came the real kicker. In 1983, Volkswagen introduced the Jetta GLI, a sportier version with 90 horsepower, tighter suspension and close ratio gearbox. It was everything the standard Jetta should have been from the start, actually fun to drive. But by then, thousands of Jetta owners were stuck with their beige saloons, watching Golf GTI owners have all the fun, whilst GLI drivers got a slightly less boring saloon. The regret must have been exquisite. The build quality was typically German, solid, well-assembled, thoroughly engineered. But that just made the boredom more tragic. Volkswagen had taken genuinely good mechanicals and wrapped them in the automotive equivalent of Wonder Bread. The engine was competent, the chassis was sound, the construction was robust, and absolutely none of it mattered because the Jetta made driving feel like doing taxes. It wasn't bad. It was worse than bad. It was aggressively, determinedly, catastrophically boring. Even the name was uninspiring. Jetta supposedly derived from the jet stream, part of VW's tradition of naming cars after winds and currents. But whereas Scirocco sounded exotic and Passat had gravitas, Jetta sounded like something you'd call a budget airline or discount furniture shop. It was the perfect name for a car that existed solely to transport conservative buyers between obligations without ever threatening to make them feel alive. So what was the Volkswagen Jetta really? It was a Golf with a boot and a crisis of identity. A car designed not to offend anyone, which guaranteed it would never truly satisfy anyone either. For the same money, or less, you could buy the more practical Golf, the more stylish Scirocco, or literally any competitor with actual character. But if you wanted maximum mediocrity wrapped in German engineering, the Jetta delivered with ruthless efficiency. Thousands bought it. Thousands regretted it. Because they paid a premium for a car that offered nothing except the privilege of looking slightly more conservative than Golf drivers. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't unreliable. It wasn't even particularly bad at anything. It was just boring. The Jetta proved that you could take excellent engineering, solid build quality, and proven mechanicals, then smother it all in such aggressive blandness that people would regret the purchase despite the car working perfectly fine. That's not failure. That's achievement. A masterclass in how to make people regret buying a good car simply because it's too boring to justify the premium they paid. Well done, Volkswagen. And there you have it, the Volkswagen Jetta, a Golf with a boot, charging more money for less practicality. It wasn't unreliable or unsafe. It was just boring. Thousands paid a premium and spent years regretting it. The Jetta proved you could build a perfectly competent car and still disappoint buyers. Premium price, identical mechanicals, less versatility. That's why people regretted buying it. If you've enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you'd like to support the series, you can buy us a coffee, link in the description. This is 4 Wheels and Fuel. Drive something interesting.